A meticulously planned assassination thoroughly intertwines political intrigue with blood. The once invincible gladiator is now left merely clinging to life in dark alleys. And the most fatal blow often comes not from the enemy's blade, but from the ruthless betrayal of bedfellows and allies. As the scales of power begin to tip violently, everyone will be reduced to sacrifices of fate. The truth will absolutely send shivers down your spine. Following the bloody turmoil of the previous episode, the story in episodes 7 and 8 of Spartacus House of Ashur pushes everyone directly to the precipice of destiny. At the beginning of episode 7, the air in the training ground is thick with the desperate stench of blood. The female champion Achillia suffered a devastating and crippling injury to her hand in the previous battle. To prevent the spread of infection, the doctor even coldly suggests that her injured hand must be amputated, which undoubtedly means she faces the tragic fate of being completely ruined. To maintain the house's prestige and daily operations in Capua, the ambitious young gladiator Tarchon temporarily takes the position of champion until Achillia can miraculously recover her form. At the same time, the entire management of the training ground falls into an extremely dangerous state of paralysis. The instructor Salvius sinks into inescapable grief after losing his beloved Oppator. Following Oppator's death, with no family to claim his estate, his assets, including 23 gladiators, instructors, physicians, and the villa training ground, are to be publicly auctioned. Ashur attempts to swallow up this lucrative estate to erase his lowly origins as a Syrian slave. However, reality deals him a heavy blow. After carefully assessing his financial situation, Ashur desperately realizes that even if he cruelly cuts his gladiators' rations in half and completely stops buying wine, he can only scrape together a mere 5,000 denarii at most. For Oppator's massive estate, this money is just a drop in the bucket, not even coming close to the price of a barren plot of land. To fill this fatal funding gap, Ashur begins engaging in dangerous political lobbying among the Roman elite. He privately seeks out Cornelia from Caesar's camp, attempting to uncover a bottomless political conspiracy.
Oppator was to leave Capua for warmer climes of Sicilia and wished to see Korris fall by his side. I agreed to release him from his duties as doctor in exchange for Oppator's holdings within the city. Unfortunately, the deal was not concluded in advance of Oppator's death at the hands of the Cilicians. Perhaps the same one who descended upon Cause, a noble daughter, in advance of your arrival.
Ashur hopes to use the revelation of this secret as leverage in exchange for financial backing from the House of Caesar at the auction. However, the high and mighty Cornelia entirely dismisses the accusations of this former Syrian slave.
You seek redress upon erroneous assumption.
She mocks Ashur's political maneuvering and even secretly spikes the wine she offers him with Cypriot opium to cloud his mind, laying the groundwork for her subsequent betrayal. Cornelia's deliberate flattery toward Ashur as the drug takes effect gives him the fatal illusion that he has successfully taken control of the entire situation, and this illusion will directly lead to his utter ruin in the ensuing competition. Shortly after, the highly anticipated estate auction officially begins, and the wrestling between various factions reaches a fever pitch. The magistrate highly proclaims that in these extraordinary times, all proceeds from the auction will be reallocated to strengthen city defenses against the growing threat of Cilician invasions. The bidding starts at 10,000 denarii, and Ashur engages in a frantic battle of wealth with his bitter rival Proculus on the auction floor.
10,000 denarii.
Good Proculus ignites the flame!
11.
11,000 from the Syrian!
15,000 denarii.
16.
19,000.
20.
21,000. 21,500.
22.
23,000 denarii.
27,000 denarii.
Ashur still tries to hold up his pathetic pride, ultimately losing his mind and pushing the price up to an absurd 27,000 denarii. Just as Ashur believes he is about to win this game of power and fundamentally change his class destiny, the most brutal reality descends upon him.
Let us arrange payment.
The House of Caesar shall stand for me in such regard.
I fear you are mistaken. The House of Caesar does not involve itself in the affairs of lesser men.
These icy words act like a heavy hammer, completely shattering Ashur's dignity to pieces. Unable to fulfill his promise, Ashur loses all face, and all of Oppator's estate ultimately falls into the hands of the House of Proculus without any suspense. The hidden detail here is that the Roman nobility's crushing of the slave class is always achieved without shedding a drop of blood. Their cold indifference at critical moments is far more soul-crushing than the swords and blades in the arena. This public humiliation completely severs all of Ashur's fantasies of peacefully integrating into aristocratic circles through wealth. Accompanied by this disastrous defeat in the battle for the estate, an even more lethal murderous intent is approaching in the Dark Night. The Roman noblewoman Casutia is filled with extreme disgust and fear toward Ashur. She strongly resents the undisguised gaze of affection from this former Syrian slave when he looks at her daughter Viridia, believing that this loathsome creature is tainting her pure bloodline. To completely eliminate this sickening hidden danger, Casutia secretly colludes with Proculus, who just won the auction. Taking advantage of Ashur's desperate desire to find Oppator's true murderer,
I will send counterfeit message, confirming meeting with esteemed husband and Edile, in place far removed from view. Under condition he move alone due to delicate nature of the accusation. The rest falls to your discretion.
Gratitude.
In that gloomy and oppressive corner, Ashur does not find the so-called truth, but instead encounters the elite assassins sent by Proculus, the cruel and bloodthirsty Ferox brothers. They think they can dispose of this gladiator owner who has lost his backing just like crushing a bug. However, they severely underestimate the terrifying survival instinct that Ashur unleashes when pushed into a corner.
The House of Ashur shall see his fall. On the sands of the arena.
The story of Episode 8 kicks off, pushing all the conflicts to an even more extreme precipice. Ashur does not choose to swallow his pride. Instead, he immediately launches a fierce political counterattack. Using the surviving assassin in his hands as leverage, he goes directly to the magistrate in the early hours of the morning to exert immense pressure on the arrogant Proculus. Refusing to back down, Ashur forcefully demands that Proculus hand over Oppator's foreign doctor, whom he bought along with the estate at the auction, as compensation for the attempted assassination. Under the strong intervention of the magistrate, Proculus has to grit his teeth and compromise to hand the man over. But this seemingly victorious confrontation is merely the prelude to the storm, as a far greater crisis is quietly brewing within the political chessboard of Rome's upper echelon. To prevent Pompey from forming a deadly triumvirate with Caesar and Crassus, Senator Gabinius makes an extremely cruel strategic decision. He plans to sacrifice his daughter Viridia's happiness, forcing her into a marriage with the ruthless Pompey to bind Pompey to the chariot of supporting the Republic. Viridia feels incomparable despair and fear over this, and she confronts her father in grief and indignation, fully aware that Pompey is a politician who would casually discard his wives like changing clothes for the sake of power and status. The hidden storyline here is highly ironic. In this seemingly noble Roman society, the fate of Viridia, a noble daughter of prominent birth, is essentially no different from that of Achillia, the female gladiator left to be slaughtered in the arena. Neither of them can control their own life or death. They are merely disposable pawns in a patriarchal society and political game that can be sacrificed at any time. Just as the external political storm intensifies, a bloody internal strife capable of destroying everything is also brewing inside the training ground of the House of Ashur. To quell the panic caused by the Cilician attacks and divert the public's attention from the Senate's crisis, Gabinius decides to host a grand and sudden gladiatorial games. For Ashur, this was originally a perfect opportunity to turn the tables. As long as his gladiators can shine on the sands of the arena, he can win back the favor and support of the elites. Achillia, whose hand was originally severely injured, demonstrates the extraordinary perseverance of a champion. Under the guidance of instructor Salvius, she decides to abandon the dual swords that once made her famous, painstakingly transitioning to a heavy gladiator fighting style, trying to use a spear and a small shield to make up for her lack of grip strength. After grueling special training, she is ready to ascend to the pinnacle of glory once again. However, Tarchon, who temporarily holds the position of champion, has been completely blinded by power and ambition. Just as Achillia is making her final preparations for the finale, driven by jealousy, Tarchon launches a fatal sneak attack on her like an out-of-control beast during their daily training. Amidst the chaos and screams, Achillia's old injury flares up severely, and the crisp sound of bone cracking completely announces her inability to participate in the upcoming grand finale. The successive unexpected events in the arena push the tragic undertones of the entire series to a suffocating climax. There are no empty seats in the stands, and the bloodthirsty frenzy of the Romans is like an erupting volcano. In the first round of combat, Ashur's diminutive heavy gladiator Helios surprisingly slays the Thracian gladiator Satyrus sent by Proculus.
Most unexpected result.
The highly anticipated grand finale finally arrives. The Roman audience frantically chants the name of the goddess of death, Achillia, but Ashur has no choice but to bite the bullet and send out the aging veteran Celadus to force a fight. However, his bitter rival, Proculus, has long prepared his most deadly trump card. When he unveils the much-boasted secret weapon, the entire arena gasps in shock. It is actually a woman too, a cruel, bloodthirsty Scythian female gladiator full of wild aura. The hidden detail here is, Proculus deliberately spent a fortune to find a female gladiator just to crush the House of Ashur's proud female champion Achillia, both in name and in substance. This is an extremely sinister commercial and political maneuver designed to deal a soul-crushing blow and completely obliterate the commercial value of the House of Ashur. From the very beginning, this finale was destined to be a one-sided massacre. The Scythian female warrior's attacks are fierce, and Celadus' dual sword defense is practically useless against her. Proculus smugly shows off from the VIP seats. The Roman audience in the stands descends into utter madness, chanting kill commands continuously like bloodthirsty demons. Ashur stands in the shadows of the yellow sands, witnessing his house's glory being torn to shreds. Assassinations, betrayals, and internal strife drown him like a tidal wave, and under the oppression of the Roman elite, his struggles are pale and powerless. Will what awaits him be total annihilation or a revenge from hell? What do you guys think will happen next? Leave your guesses in the comments section below.